Acts chapter 3 is another place. I'm just going to throw things at you real quick. And this is really the last two parts I want to talk about is simply I want to show you illustrations of how the exalted soul attempts to unscramble this thing. It's kind of like your computer's got that hourglass that keeps spinning. It never stops searching for a leader. The exalted soul is genuinely functioning, but it's looking to be led, and it's rejecting the lead position. And in my case, my body was recognizing that it was malfunctioning. My body was recognizing that this is not the natural state, and no matter how hard you try to push this on me, I'm rejecting the leading of your soul. I am designed to be housing a living spirit, not a dead corpse. So you're looking at this, and in Acts chapter 3, you see, the Acts itself needs to be understood as actions. Now, in the original language, when I went to Bible college, I took 4 years of Greek, and the Bible that we used actually called the book of Acts praxis. The practices of the apostles is what it's actually called. We translated that Acts. But what you have to keep in mind is in the Revelation, the way it progresses is you've got Jesus introduced, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, as the pinnacle of the revelation of God. He's been spoken of all through the Old Covenant. Now he's here. So after the Gospels end, the natural progression is now let's act out on what we have been revealed or exposed to in Revelation. And that's kind of where the book of Acts begins. And in Acts chapter 3, there's a problem because Jesus is gone and Peter and John have actually performed a miracle at this one particular hour of prayer, and this guy that's been sick all his life, can't walk, has been raised. And then through his healing, the religious organization of the time is now questioning, and they're persecuting these two men because of this action. And I just want you just to keep in mind of the exalted soul, because that's really why we're going through these videos. And in verse 3 or 13 rather, it's wait a minute, did I say that right? Acts 3, no, it's 15. I'm sorry, Acts 3:15. Peter says to those that are questioning him, he said, "You denied the holy and righteous one and asked for a murderer to be granted to you. And you killed the author of life, whom God raised from the dead, and to this we are witnesses." Now, that requires a lot of unpacking there, but I don't have the time for that right now. But what he's saying is that when it comes to being raised from the dead, you handled the author of life incorrectly. The exalted soul asked for a murderer. We know this formula. We know this. This is what's familiar to us. We want this. And he said, you did something incorrectly. And to this very day, I'm telling you, you're probably contributing to your own illness. And it's very likely that if you're not even a Christian, that you've not even assumed that you need to handle Jesus correctly. You've never even been taught this. This may be brand new revelation to you. But he said, you denied the Holy One, and you asked for a murder, and you killed the author of life, and here it is, whom God raised. Remember, we talked about the only thing that can be done for death is to be raised from the dead. So God shows us the pattern in his own Son. He raised him to life. Now I'm going to end this with John. I want you to listen to this real quick. In John chapter 3 is where the broken knower actually uses as the text in the book, because it's in the book, the early part of the broken knower, that a conversation is happening between Jesus and what we would consider a Supreme Court justice of that time, which is a man named Nicodemus. And I'm just building on the brokenness of this apparatus that we call the exalted soul that's trying. Here is the conversation where the exalted soul is directly trying to interpret life. And listen to the disconnect. Now there was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a ruler of the Jews, that came to Jesus by night and said to him, here it is, Rabbi, we know that you are a teacher come from God, for no one can do the signs that you do unless God is with him. There it is. I know a lot of people didn't realize that, but the opening sentence is flawed. And Jesus caught that. We know this. We have already assigned a value to you. We have looked, we've engaged our mind, we've analyzed, we've picked apart this, and we've come to a conclusion. These are normal functions of the soul. And it says, but we know that you are from God because we've derived this from our own understanding. And listen to Jesus's comment. Truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Now, in the original language, that word see means to perceive, not visual sight. It means unless you are born from above, born again, raised from the dead, made spiritually alive, I can keep going. This is what he's saying. You are not capable of perceiving the things of God. He says, truly I say to you, unless one is born, he cannot enter the kingdom of God. That which is born of the flesh is flesh. That which is born of the spirit is spirit. He said, do not marvel at what I've said. You must be born again. The wind blows where it wishes. You can hear its sound, but you don't know where it comes from or where it's going. So is it with everyone who is born of the Spirit. Now, I'm going to end there today. I'm just saying to you, as we read this book and we start to look at the broken knower, the very first thing that I think is healthy for you, the reader, is to pray the prayer that says, God, I have been raised to know things a certain way, and it's very clear that I need to unlearn something. I need you to open me up so that I don't resist this, because if, it's like this man. It's very common for the broken knower to come to the things of God and say, I already have a perception of something, and I don't really want it challenged. I'm already a Democrat. I don't want to hear the things of the Republican Party. I'm already a Republican. I don't want to hear the things of the Democrats. I'm already a man. I don't want to hear the female side. I'm already white. I don't want to understand anything of black. I'm black. I don't want. You see what I'm saying? We have a bias. We have an understanding. Our knower's broken. In this regard, it's very similar, but it's also drastically different because you've been used to processing information through deadness. And to be raised to life is the work of the Spirit. Once this aliveness comes into you, the whole world changes. And we're going to get more into that and more into that. And I may do a follow-up on this, depending on the feedback I get. I'm just trying to get you to understand, and this is a huge concept. The Exalted Soul book is based on the concept that there is a brokenness in us that we're not aware of. And that process has to be challenged, but it's the work of the Spirit that's going to do it. Hey, I'm so thankful that you guys take time to come and look at these videos with me. Pick up a copy of this book, read it. I've got opportunity for feedback. So I want to hear from you. If I'm not breaking things down well, let me know. Things that you think that I'm rushing through, I can go back and do more videos on them. I want you to get this because ultimately what I'm after is for you to connect with your Creator and for you to figure out this is the purpose why God has made me. And I was always intended to be connected with God. I was always intended to come to life, to be born again. This was always the plan. And once that happens, not only does your physical body respond, but opportunities in the other world change. I think that provision is waiting up for you. Hey, God bless you. Thank you for coming by. I'll talk to you soon.